Our 2020 spring flood outlook. So, been getting a lot of questions on this topic now that we have some spring-like weather that seems like we've been seeing, even though we got a lot of winter ahead of us. But people are thinking about this, and we rely heavily on our partners when we look at spring flooding, including National Weather Service, state hydrology reports, things like that. And so yesterday, the National Weather Service released their second flood forecast for the spring season. So we had one forecast come out already, but we're getting close enough now that we're really starting to pay attention to what these forecasts are in terms of I think their accuracy goes up the closer we get to spring. So I wanted to come before you guys today and just let you know what the city team's response is and what our work has been to date in order to prepare for this. We have been hard at work really since last fall already and into the winter preparing for what spring flooding could look like. In some ways, last year's floods were both a blessing and a curse in that obviously damage, costs, challenges to the city, but we learned a lot of things from that. And so it's not too far in the distant past that we can reflect on how we responded to that, how our sandbagging operations went, what happened at our EOC. And so we have that experience not too far in the distant past that we can always rely on too, which I'm really proud of how we responded last year, and I think our response this year, should we have to employ it, will be good as well. So we have a multi-agency coordination team called the MACT is the acronym that's been meeting since December on this topic. And so that team consists of obviously a lot of people from the city and different city departments, but also different community players as well. Everyone from the Red Cross to the 211 Helpline Center and others that would play a part in a disaster response like a flood situation. What I want to continue to reinforce, as will be the case this year as was the case last year, is the reliance that the city will have on our partners at the 211 Helpline Center, which has served us very well over the last year as the tip of the spear for communications and for citizens to reach out to the city with concerns. So that will again be an important partner for us should we have significant flood fight efforts. The 211 Helpline Center this past year, they also developed a new intake form that will make it easier for people to request for services as well as a call for volunteers. So if people want to volunteer, sign up, we'll be able to do that online as well as by calling 211. So that is a little bit of an overview on just kind of our work that we've done since December. These guys are going to talk a little bit about the details of what's been coming out of those meetings, what we're expecting in terms of the weather over the next couple weeks and months. The good news is it's been a dry last few weeks. I mean, we got a little bit of a dusting last night, but this has been good weather to help kind of thaw out the ground and have a kind of a slow melt, which has been great for us to see. So with that, I'm going to ask for Todd Heitkamp. Todd's with the National Weather Service, has been a great partner with us in all these weather events we've had over the last year. Todd's going to kind of give you an outlook on what we saw with the state hydrology report and what we're seeing in terms of weather in the next month or so. So, Todd?
Thanks, Mayor. Again, name's Todd Heitkamp, meteorologist in charge for the National Weather Service office here in Sioux Falls. First off, I want to make sure everyone understands is what the mayor was saying is that we have, we're just not picking up the ball and running with it now. We have been playing this game for a long time with the city. The city has been a true partner as well as the county in helping the communities around Minnehaha County and the people that live here to stay safe and be more prepared for the possibility of more flooding. And so with that, talking about the flooding, what I'd say the best thing that anyone can do is that if you had flooding last year, if you live along the Big Sioux River and you've experienced flooding, you should be taking steps to prepare for it now. Not saying that it's going to happen, but it's better to be prepared for it now and then nothing happens. And as the mayor said, what we've been experiencing the past couple of weeks has been an ideal situation. Even though that we have still plenty of snow to our north, we're dealing with anywhere from 8 to 18 inches of snow north of I-90. Along I-90, basically nothing to a few inches of snow outside of Sioux Falls. That has changed dramatically over the past couple of days and even weeks, mainly due to the weather situation. We've had an ideal melt. We've had temperatures above freezing during the day, and that has allowed the snow to melt, but then temperature drops below freezing at night, and that slows down the melting process and allows us to evacuate a lot of that water out of the system. So that's what we're looking for and hoping for, praying for, that will continue for the next couple of weeks. But on top of that, what has really also been a blessing is the lack of precipitation or additional precipitation that what we've seen around the tri-state area. And the way the weather pattern looks like right now over the next 7 to 10 days, it continues to look fairly dry. And that's in our favor. And that weather pattern, even 30 to 60 days out from now, also looks to be rather dry. There's pretty good chances of below normal precipitation. And if that's what what we would like to see, have the doctor order, it'd be nice to have it delivered because that would minimize the potential for significant flooding around here. Even though right now we're still calling for pretty good chances of moderate to major flooding along the Big Sioux as well as the James River valleys. Again, really what it determines the extent of the flooding is any additional precipitation that we see from here on out. And that's why we work closely with the city of Sioux Falls and the county to ensure that we just can't sit back and say, hey, everything's looking good. We're more optimistic now than what we were, let's say, 2 weeks ago because of the weather situation that we've been experiencing and hopefully will experience in the future. So that's kind of a wrap up of the weather forecast and what we have been experiencing, what we expect to experience here in the next couple of weeks or a month. I'll turn it over now to Regan Smith.
Thanks, Todd. Regan Smith, Emergency Manager, City of Sioux Falls. The city is preparing. We continue to coordinate with the National Weather Service and other community partners to maintain situational awareness. We did review our 2019 flood response actions and have updated our current response plans. We conducted an inventory of resources related to flood response, things such as additional pumps have been acquired and purchased and are ready to respond if necessary. We've inventoried our sandbag and trap supplies, and they're ready to go. We also updated our flood communications plan and have done some pre-response messaging. We have also updated our sandbag operations plan. The city and the county work together to secure an indoor production site. We're working with the South Dakota Department of Corrections to pre-produce and palletize sandbags. Those sandbags will be available to protect public infrastructure, and if necessary, we'll distribute those to the general public. What can the public do? We ask people to know if their home or business is in a floodplain. They can go to www.siouxfalls.org/flood, enter their address in there, and that will determine if they are in that floodplain. They can obtain or renew their flood insurance if necessary. This needs to be done 30 days prior to the event, so time is of the essence there. Homeowners can take steps to protect their property, decluttering their drains, gutters. This would be a great weekend to do that. Check their install check valves into their drain. Ensure their sump pump's working. Consider a battery backup. Sump pumps shouldn't drain into the sanitary system. We want those to go out into the street or into the storm drainage system. Overall, I'd say why we are cautiously optimistic about the elevated potential for spring flooding. The city continues to monitor the situation. We're actively preparing to respond if necessary. With that, I'll turn it over to Jason with Minnehaha County, and then the group can take questions after Jason's done.
Jason Gearman, Minnehaha County Emergency Manager. Everybody's kind of touched on basically, the preparation part, and I'll kind of be more specific to the county. 211 is available to the county and to the other counties around here, so basically if you have that need, please use that system. It's been very valuable to us, and we do appreciate what they do. Specifically county, again, it was said if you had some flooding last year, there's a possibility you're going to have flooding this year, so you need to prepare ahead of time. Some of the issues that we had last year were all the rescues out in the county due to driving through, obviously, water over the roads and people that refused to leave their houses in a timely manner. And also there were some issues with livestock transportation through the flooded roads. So think about that as you're preparing. You know, the best way you can prepare is to prepare yourself. Again, some of the issues last year was the snow around the houses, and the water was going a direction that it had never went before, and it collapsed a lot of basements. Now we've had enough melting where not a lot of snow around the houses, but think about that if you're farther north of here. Get that snow away from your house in case we do get a substantial rain. Again, in the county, we met with Del Rapids, Renner, they will be prepared, but if you live in those areas, again, I just can't reiterate, just be ready. If we leave those door markers on your house again, we would prefer that you leave your house, and we'll have more instructions as it gets closer. We have a very good forecast, but it may take one huge rain event that could, pardon the pun, wash that away.